All right, and welcome into the BettingPros College Football Show. We are just 48 hours away from the inaugural College Football Playoffs, and we can't thank you enough for allowing us to cover this sport that we love from a gambling perspective. On today's show, we'll be making our picks and predictions for the occasion. Plus, we've got 5 other bowl games that we'll give you our locks for. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock. I'm joined by a big-time gambler of a few different sports. If there's ball being played, you can assume this guy is down on something. Terrell Furman Jr. Giddy up, my friend. Here we go again.
Pause. But yes, 100%. I am so happy and great to be here and experience a real playoff. This is a real playoff, not the invitational stuff. This is the real playoff that's going on. And I'm calling for an upset early. I think that we're going to get an upset, and we're going to see somebody that wasn't predicted to be in the top 4 to go ahead and win this championship. So I can't wait.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that a little bit later on in the program. We're also graced by the presence of a man who was baptized in the sport of football by the Friday night lights down in the glorious state of Texas. Scott, bet the total Bogman. How are we doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about these games. I'm ready to watch these games. It's going to be intense, and I think Terrell is right, and I think this is what people that are against the playoff don't realize is there are going to be upsets. There's upsets in March Madness every single year. It's a one-off. It's a crazy experience. Teams that you think will never win will do it. A little more difficult in a 11-on-11 instead of 5-on-5 for an upset to happen, but they are going to happen, and they're going to happen this year at some point. So, I think our first round has a couple of opportunities for it for sure.
Let's just hope it doesn't happen in some of the games that you and I are pulling for, Boggs.
I can't wait to hear Terrell's opinion. I wonder which upsets he's going to be picking here.
I'm ready. I am ready for it. Thank you to everyone, again, who watches and listens to each and every episode of the BP College Football Show. If you're watching here on YouTube, let us know your favorite bet in the weekend slate in the comments below. And while you're here, please like this video if you enjoy this type of content. Plus, subscribe to the whole channel if you are new. And before we jump in, I did want to remind you about the BettingPros Discord. Are you looking to up your game in sports betting? Well, then join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with some expert cappers who provide some free picks for the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote and see how your picks stack up against the experts and track your success today. Let's dive into the first round of the college football playoff game, starting on Friday night in South Bend. The 7th-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they've moved to 7-point favorites against the 10th-seeded Indiana Hoosiers. The Irish will get star running back Jeremiah Love back and defensive tackle Howard Cross back as well, but no freshman linebacker KVA, who was injured last month against Army. The Hoosiers have a clear injury report that includes cornerback Jameer Johnson, who will be up for this one. And what would you expect from this gritty Curt Cignetti-led team? I went in on the under 51.5 points. It has since grown to 52 points at Caesars currently. Terrell, last we spoke, you were going against the BP projections and hitting that IU money line. Are you still holding on to that ticket today?
Yeah, I am. I still do. I really like IU in this spot. I just think that they match up a little bit better with Notre Dame than I think they did in Ohio State here. And I think that they'll be able to, even if Jeremiah Love is coming back, I think they'll still be able to have an impact on the run game and not be able to let them run wild on them. And ultimately, one of the criticisms of this Notre Dame team all year is the weapons on the outside that they have to throw the ball to. And I just think that Ohio State, when you look at their weapons and you have Jeremiah Smith and all the pass catchers that they have on their side of the ball, that was just a little bit too much for Indiana. I think Indiana can defend that a lot better this go around in the game against Notre Dame. And then I just trust Cignetti to find a way to get this offense moving the football down the field, going north and south, and being able to build explosive plays. They put together some good drives against Ohio State. They found themselves in the game, and then they let special teams blunders.
Yep.
The punter straight up missed the ball. Like, it wasn't even like somebody impacted him.
Yeah.
He just straight up missed the ball, and that's a turnover. And then you have the punt return, and that happens, and you have a fumble on your side of the field, and you kind of just take yourself out of the game. I don't think they take themselves out of the game this time around. I love IU going away, taking the points, and I am hoping for an IU upset here as little brother goes up against Notre Dame.
Yeah, 14 points on the punt team given up by IU against Ohio State earlier this season, Boggs. Do you think it's a similar case we see against Notre Dame in Indiana on Friday, or is this a totally dominated game by the Fighting Irish?
That's the thing with this game is that we're not sure. I love watching like Signetti talk about, if our name was Michigan, we would be ranked much higher because this, and this. Well, you had no top 25 victories this year. Indiana had a great year. We've loved them all year because they've been beating people into the dirt, right? It's been a lot of fun. But you come up against one team that was very good and they destroy you. The good news in that game is that they held Ohio State's offense pretty well. And I think that they're going to be able to do that to Notre Dame as well. As, Terrell alluded to, I think that a lot of the mistakes that they saw in that Ohio State game are workable. My big question for Indiana is, are they going to be able to move the ball with success? Not because you're not just playing against Notre Dame, you're also playing against these cold conditions. Trell and I would not survive in this game. 28 degrees at kickoff.
Oh, no.
We're Southern guys, so we don't do that stuff. But Indiana, both these teams are from Indiana. It should be negligible, but will impact the game for sure. But my question is, Indiana moving the ball, can the O-line handle the Notre Dame defensive line? As you mentioned, Howard Cross back to this line that's already very talented. But if they can hold up and give Curtis Rourke time, I think they're going to be able to pass the ball against Notre Dame because Morrison is out. He's their best corner. They haven't really been tested by a good passing team all year. So maybe they're up to the task, but we really just haven't seen it done against Notre Dame. They haven't played a good passing offense really all year long. So I'm going to take the points with Indiana in this game. I think it's going to be a little bit back and forth. It could, if Indiana just can't move the ball like they did against Ohio State, then it's going to be Notre Dame in a walk. This one will be over, and you can go watch a movie instead. You know what I mean? Like halfway through. But I think Indiana hangs in this game. I think the line is a complete coin flip. I don't really buy that Notre Dame is going to win by more than a touchdown. So give me the points and give me the Hoosiers. I don't know that they win, but I think they keep it close for sure.
Okay, get your lighters out. We're still smoking that Signetti pack on the program. Moving to Saturday at noon, we've got a banger in Beaver Stadium where the 6th seed Penn State Nittany Lions remain an 8.5-point favorite against the 11th-seeded SMU Mustangs. Big news out of State College this week. Drew Aller will be returning for his senior year, thus leaving backup quarterback Bo Pribiola to hit the portal and leave the team ahead of this game. This matters in particular because Pribiola has seen quite a few snaps for the Nittany Lions and has been a weapon in some run-heavy packages run by the Big Zamboni. No status update on Penn State tackle Anthony Donka, but we do know Penn State will have safety Jalen Reed back, who was involved in a scary car crash in Pennsylvania over this past weekend. Boggs, I've got no bets down for this game currently, but I do have a ton of rooting interest. On last week's episode, you liked State, but you did want to see some line movement. We didn't get that, but we did get the news that Pribiola will not be active and that tickets are not selling very well for this game. Are you still rolling with Nittany Lion and the entire state of PA here?
Yeah, I think the more that I've watched in this game, the more I've kind of delved into it. Really, to me, it's about this Penn State defensive line. And I think that is going to be the X factor in this game. And I think coming into last week or 2 weeks ago before the conference championships, we were kind of questioning, I don't know, does Penn State have the offense to compete with some of these upper tier teams? And then they put up 518 yards against Oregon. So their offense is hitting right now. This is going to be another severely cold game. It's going to be 27 degrees at kickoff up there in your neck of the woods, Seth. So it's going to be a cold one for them guys coming up from Dallas. Dallas can get pretty cold, but we mentioned this it's a different type of cold going from Texas to Pennsylvania. So I think the defensive line, what happens here, in my opinion, is Penn State gets up because they're going to be able to score on SMU's defense. SMU has a good defensive line. I just don't think they're going to be very scary against Penn State. So I think we know Penn State's going to score. SMU's not going to go away. Kevin Jennings is pesky, and we've seen him, really pull through. They almost came back and beat Clemson. They did come back after turning the ball over 6 times against Duke and won that game. So, there will be no quit in SMU. I do think that this could be a tight game, but I think once you put SMU in the position to have to pass the ball late, that's where the defensive line for Penn State takes over. They start wrecking things, start completely, tipping balls, getting to the quarterback, hurrying throws, hitting Jennings too. And I think that is where you see the breakdown for SMU and the dam kind of break. And then we see Penn State just kind of take over at that point. So I am going to lay the points and stick with Penn State here.
Okay, and we know Beaver Stadium also up on a hill. It's getting all that wind coming right off the mountains. There's farmland all over the place, so no coverage. So the feels could be even lower teens, high single digits potentially, Terrell. With that being said, do you like Penn State?
11.6 miles per hour sustained, it looks like, too.
Terrell, with that being said, do you like Penn State in their own element up here in Happy Valley?
It is a lot of points, and this is a playoff game, but I guess I have to fade SMU going up north. But the thing that just really, really scares me is, 1, James Franklin in a meaningful game is also horrible. 2 is the fact that I think Jennings is going to be more of a threat with his legs this game than maybe any other game this season. It just seems like if there's ever going to be a game to unleash him on the ground and let him just go up and down in field running the football, it would be this game in this type of cold weather, in an aspect where, hey, you're going to have that defensive line that comes crashing in, and as soon as they come crashing in, take off and go and make something of the play and don't give up on the play. And so I really, really, really could see Jennings having a game and trying to find ways to keep this football moving. But I do think the Penn State defense is pretty nasty. While I do respect SMU offense, defense and offense as well, is really just the fact of, man, this down south team is coming up here into this cold weather. The only thing that would have made me feel a lot better is if this was a night game for Penn State. Probably the only thing that would have made me feel a lot better. So am I as feeling good as I was about SMU in last time we talked? Not really. I think I'm a little bit more on the Penn State side of things here. But I don't feel good about it. Probably Penn State is a team that I would put into a teaser, and I would probably tease Penn State down and take Penn State like that because, again, this SMU team has no quit. They do not quit, and they're going to go out there and try to fight. And with this being the last game of the season, if they do lose, I could see them giving all they could, just like they did against Clemson.
Absolutely, and Penn State not been the best at covering as large favorites this season, so I understand the teaser play, maybe a money line parlay option for you there as well. Before we keep it moving to the rest of the games, I did want to tell everyone about our new college football playoff contest with Splash Sports. For just $25, you can enter up to 3 times, pick each college football playoff game against the spread, and earn points for correct picks. Plus, choose a best pick each round for double your points, and hurry, the deadline to enter is December 20th. Join now at bettingpros.com/splash and make your picks count. All right, we did see some slight line movement overnight in Austin, where the 5th-seeded Texas Longhorns are now 11.5-point favorites against the 12th-seeded Clemson Tigers. Clemson will officially be without RB2 Jay Haynes, who did suffer a torn ACL. Tyler Brown, their wide receiver, also remains questionable. Texas is expecting to get stud left tackle Kelvin Banks back, but the status of their wide receiver Isaiah Bond is unknown. BP projections are showing some expected value on Texas. Terrell, are you taking one more ride fading the Longhorns? BP projections think this line should be closer to 2 touchdowns, but what do you say?
Well, it might not be one more ride because they might end up winning the game, but there's no way, even if they do win this game, that they're winning it by margin. I mean, we've been around this road before with Texas. We have to stop riding the same ride over and over and over and over and over again at the park. We got to go ride something else because we know how this Texas game ends. Texas is going to come out here, and they're going to get mediocre quarterback play. They will be able to run the football, and at the end of the game, you're going to look back at the line, and you're going to say, oh, wow, Texas didn't cover that line again. No, because that's not what they do. They play really good defense. They don't look that good in the game. game, and then they just kind of limp themselves across the finish line. And that's all because I truly have now decided that I'm just going to put it on Quinn Ewers. Like, that's ultimately what I'm going to do. Because it's been too many times that he has missed throws. Like, it's too many times he has missed throws. He had made a wrong decision. He's thrown an interception. And I'm like, all right, at this point, Quinn, it is you, because the defense has been there for you. You have the weapons on the outside. While they could be better, and there are some spots that they are better, you still have enough to work with here, but he cannot keep this team consistently moving the football, and I'm not laying double digits with that. Against Dabo? No. Dabo's playing with house money here. Dabo is chilling. He said, hey, I made the playoff. I told y'all I'd make the playoff. Now, you didn't think that when I said I'd make the playoff, there'd be 12 teams in the playoff at this point, but that doesn't matter. I still made the playoff. So, 100%, Dabo's playing with house money, and they're going to go out there and have a ball, and it's going to be all on Texas to find a way to win this game when Clemson punches them in the mouth. And the final aspect is, this is a homecoming. This is the homecoming. The kid is coming home. You don't think the kid is going to come home and have one of his best games ever against Texas? Absolutely. This could easily be a 3-point game. Give me Clemson all the way. Kate Klubnik, let's go. Run the football. Don't make dumb decisions.
Mm-hmm. Boggs, as Terrell's alluding to, a lot of storylines, interesting ones in this game. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, Klubnik going back to Austin, it's a great storyline. It's a great media play. You know, Quinn Ewers and Klubnik had a nice high school rivalry in Texas as well. So, like, all of that makes sense. It's a great storyline. I think when you look at this game, right, and I think taking Clemson is fine. I think everything Terrell said is correct, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Texas has not been winning games by blowing teams out. The offense puts up good numbers against bad defenses, right? It's not been insane. But what do we know for sure is going to be good in this game? And it's the Texas defense.
Yep.
100% is going to be great in this game. No one has figured out Texas defense all year. So I don't think Clemson comes in, even with Cade Klubnik and the nice story, and starts firing around 400 yards of offense or anything. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game because what Quinn are we going to get? Are we going to get this banged-up Quinn that keeps trying to throw the ball to the other team? And how long does that last? If that guy shows up, when does Arch come in and start leading these troops, right? So I think you're going to see a quick hook for Ewers if he starts bad. But if he starts bad, that means Clemson's probably in it till at least halftime. So I get taking the points. And Clemson, I see people taking Clemson on the money line. I just think that's insane. I don't think they're a very good team. I think Texas is a very good team. I think the one thing that you question with Texas, it's not the O-line, it's not the wide receivers, it's not the running back anymore, it's the quarterback.
Yep.
That is the one position that you are questioning. But you're not questioning the defense. And the biggest difference in this game, to me, is a Texas D-line and rotation against the Clemson O-line. I don't think that matchup is very close. I think Texas wins that one walking away. I think Klubnik is in trouble trying to pass the ball. He's going to have his best game for them to be in this. So, to me, I feel the under is the best play in this game. And that's what I said last week. That's what I'm going to stick to. I don't think Clemson is going to score a ton of points. We're still at 51.5 on this total.
52 now at some books as well.
I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why it's that high. I could see this game being 35-3 Texas. Like, you know, they score in their first couple drives. Clemson just can't move the ball. They're turning the ball over. You know, Texas scores a couple more times after that, and it's just a boring Trey Wisner gets 50 carries type of game, right? I could see that, you know, you save all your playbook and everything else for the second round, for the third round, and all of that. I could also see this being a nail-biter where I'm flipped this table over 3 times and the neighbors are calling the cops on me. Maybe that is the type of game it comes down to at the end as well. All I know is there's not going to be a ton of points, so I will take the under.
As somebody that is going to invest in that plus, what is it now? Plus 370? Plus 370 money line?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say it's not more indicative of Clemson having the talent to be able to win the game, but it's more of Texas being able to find a way to lose the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that I can trust in the fact that, and also I've bet against it before it has come through, but they have a chance that they could actually lose this game. And I think that will be the funniest storyline, more than me actually thinking Texas has a pretty solid path of getting to the championship game. Like, a
Blowing
really,
your hair.
really good, solid path, it would be much more of a crazy storyline if Texas found a way to lose this game, and I just wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's within the realm of possibilities. Absolutely. I think if you play this game 100 times, Clemson probably wins 25 of them. But I don't think most of them
So,
they win.
see if one of the 25 is this weekend.
Yeah. I'll give you a quarter of a shot. I think Texas gets 3/4 of it.
Bogman, I'm with you. I'm laying the under 52 points here. Clemson, they've scored just a total of 17 points in their 2 games against SEC schools, those being Georgia, South Carolina this season.
They had 326 yards against SMU, right? Like, they won that game because SMU made mistakes, and that's how they're going to have to win this game too. If they want to win this game, it's because Texas makes mistakes, not because their offense is explosive and dangerous.
And I think, like, Quinn Ewers probably has a lot on his mind right now. Like, I know he's a gamer. I know he's a professional. He's going to go out there and do his best. But an alleged Big Ten school threw a lot of money at him. Apparently, North Carolina is throwing
with your own failures,
money at him as
Ohio
well.
State.
So, yeah, well, I don't know.
So where did that bring you?
He's still the only
Right
member of that
back to me.
2021
Is
Ohio
that the
State
school?
recruiting
Is that the
class
school you
that has
guys
beat
think is
Michigan.
throwing the money at him?
Who else
I
has
don't
that
think
money?
I mean, it could be whoever. It could be whoever.
Could be
But
Michigan.
I'm just saying it would
It's
be
Ohio State.
amazing if it was Ohio State. Like, it would be the perfect.
Has Ohio
storyline if
State
it was
gotten a
Ohio
quarterback
State.
in the portal yet?
No, not to my
Will
knowledge.
Howard?
This year.
For this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this year no, they have. Oh, well, it might be Ohio State.
I
It
honestly
could
thought
possibly be
it
Ohio
might
State.
be Penn State who threw the money
Oh,
at him.
no,
'cause
no,
Aller's
yeah.
staying.
But yeah, then Aller's staying, so obviously that rolls it out. So yeah, you guys might be right. We'll talk more about that later, but let's keep it moving here and talk about Ohio State in the #1 bet game of the weekend. The 8-seeded Buckeyes are now available as 7-point favorites against the 9-seeded Tennessee Volunteers in Columbus, where it's expected to be 37 degrees at kickoff. Both of these teams have been impacted by the portal. Ohio State's backup quarterback, Devin Brown, will hit the portal, remaining with the team, though. They did lose some depth players at wide receiver, linebacker as well. Tennessee, they've had 9 players in the transfer portal. That includes, most notably, linebacker Jalen Smith, who's 8th on the team in tackles, plays 21.3 defensive snaps per game in that linebacker rotation. They also lost 4 reserve wide receivers. That cuts their scholarship wide receivers from 10 to 6. And I think that's really bad timing as well, because 3 of Tennessee's starting wide receivers, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, and Dante Johnson, they're all questionable. White and Johnson are trending in the right direction, but still, I'm waiting to see if I can get a 6.5 ticket, I think here, or a boost, something over the weekend, because I don't know if I want to have anything above a 7, but I really do like Ohio State to cover this line. Boggs, how do you feel about it with the roster question marks for Tennessee, the weather as well? Have you come around to getting on the side of the Buckeyes here?
No, I hate this game. I'll just say that. Like,
Really?
nothing has changed for me since
Okay.
last week. I still don't like it. And the thing that does it for me, Terrell, where are you at on this game? Are you on Ohio State?
All
You
the
can't
way
take
on
Tennessee.
Ohio State. There is
Well, okay.
no question.
So I think Ohio State wins, right? I do. I think the difference is going to be the playmakers on the outside. I think Jeremiah Smith, Mecca Egbuka, I think if you get 2 big plays out of that group, also the running backs are amazing. You get 2 big plays out of that group, I think that's going to be the thing that seals this victory for Ohio State. Eventually, at some point in this game, I think, it breaks. We have a huge play for Ohio State, and it works. What I don't like in this is how we've seen Will Howard choke. Everyone's talking about Quinn Ewers and how bad Quinn Ewers has played, and he has. It hasn't been good. Will Howard has had some bad moments in big games for Ohio State. He threw the pick 6 against Penn State. He threw all those red zone interceptions against Michigan. He's just looked awful in pressure situations here. At home, they're already mad at Ryan Day. I don't know if this is going to be the best environment for Ohio State to be playing, especially if Tennessee scores early. I think you hear some boo birds and all that type of stuff. So I just I don't really love this game. I like this game to be low scoring, but I don't like this total either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, gun to my head, I'm picking Ohio State, and I'll lay the points. Like, I think eventually the biggest difference in this game is that at least Will Howard has some experience. I think Nico's a better quarterback, but this is a huge pressure spot on the road in the cold, and you have to face this unbelievable Ohio State defensive line. I think that is where the difference lies in this game, but we have Ohio State's O-line banged up, playing against a great Tennessee defensive line. So, I think Sampson can run the ball a little bit. I don't think it's going to be an enormous game for him, but I think if Ohio State gets to a lead and Nico has to pass, now you let these Ohio State Buckeye defensive linemen pin their ears back and come after him. He holds the ball for too long. I think that's, a lot like we said with SMU. I think this game plays tighter. I think Tennessee's way better than, SMU. I think Tennessee would be giving Penn State a run for their money if that was this game. But I don't know, man. I think Ohio State wins. I'm not saying it with a bunch of confidence, and this is pretty much a stay away.
Would you maybe tease them down? Maybe money line parlay, something like that?
I think I'm with you. Like, let's try to get it under a touchdown. If we can get it there, then
I'm sure there's going to be a boost at FanDuel by Saturday that you can get in on and maybe get a 5.5, maybe get a 6, something like that. Terrell, I know you are in on Ohio State at the current number of 7. Tell us why, though.
Yeah, one of my favorite bets of the weekend. I mean, have you seen a dead body before? Like, this is a dead man walking in Ryan Day, and he has nothing else he can possibly ever do than other than succeed in this spot. Like, he's literally coaching for his job every single game after the Michigan loss. And it's because Michigan is his kryptonite. He just cannot get this team prepared enough to go in there and beat Michigan under any circumstance. But everybody else, he has a pretty solid, decent chance against. And so I think that, one, there's a reason that these SEC teams don't schedule these games up north late in the season because of reasons like this, because they don't want to be caught in the weather. I know I've seen people there talking about, it gets cold in Knoxville. What are you talking about? Yeah, all right, go up there this weekend and see if you talk about cold. This is a night game too, and you're talking about it gets cold in Knoxville too. It's going to be like 10 to 15 degrees at kickoff of this game. It's going to be freezing out there. So, I think that they're going to be drastically unprepared. I think that them buying the tickets in bulk, trying to have a presence in the stadium is going to, one, make them realize how big that stadium actually is and how much their little Tennessee presence isn't going to do anything. Ooh. And then you also add into the fact of, I think there's a drastic difference in the receivers on both sides of the ball in terms of, I don't think that Tennessee DBs can cover the Ohio State receivers one-on-one. And I think that's going to open things up. And when you start trying to change these defenses, trying to hide the fact that your receivers can't cover them one-on-one, talking about Smith and Mbuka and all that stuff, they're going to have an issue, and then that's going to open things up for them, not only in the run game, and they'll be able to get stuff going in the run game, but I think that will also open up the screen game as well. Like, I think there's ways Ryan Day can craft a really, really good offense with a week to prepare. That's the whole thing about losing to Michigan. That gave you a whole week to sit there and relish in the fact that you just lost to Michigan again, and now you have a week to prepare for how you're going to destroy this Tennessee SEC team coming up there to the Big Ten. I think that Ohio State is going to dominate this game. It's going to be slow maybe at first. I think that Tennessee definitely can get some big plays out there, and that the defense will be able to get home to Will Howard once or twice, and maybe he makes a mistake. But ultimately, I think this is going to end a 10-point game or greater.
I would love to bet that Mike Vrabel will be the next Ohio State head coach. I have a feeling.
Oh, please no. Please no.
I have a feeling that's where this is going, but unfortunately, I do not think we can bet on that. But if anyone sees anything out there like that, let me know. I'm sure some offshore might get crazy. Bet US. Sure. They like to do some weird stuff like that. You can bet. Right now, I just saw on Bet US whether Travis Hunter will still be with his significant other by the time he gets into the league. So lots of fun different things you can bet over there on Bet US, but no Mike Vrabel bets. Before we continue, I did want to tell you about Fast Break Bets. If you like betting on basketball, well then join host Terrell Furman on the Fast Break Bets podcast, your daily dose of basketball betting in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every single day for your rapid-fire fix of all things basketball, from the WNBA to the NBA to college basketball and more. Make sure you're checking out right here on the BettingPros YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Also this week leading into next, we have a collection of bowl games, including Georgia Southern, who are anywhere between a 4.5 to 6 point favorite against Sam Houston State in the New Orleans Bowl on Thursday night. Georgia Southern finished right behind Marshall in the Sun Belt Conference. They were 8-4 straight up and an impressive 8-3-1 ATS. Their only opt-out is a depth safety. Sam Houston State, meanwhile, they finished third in Conference USA, 9-3 straight up, 6-6 ATS. They were 19th in total defense, but they've paid the price by getting poached in the portal. They have 6 defensive starters who have left for greener grasses, plus their running back 1, QB 2, and wide receiver 4 all also in the portal. That's likely why this line has ballooned from 1.5 points at open to 5.5 now. Terrell, Sam Houston profiles as the better team, but can they overcome being pillaged by the portal?
Absolutely not. Or at least if they do, I'm not going to bet on it, so they'll have to prove it to me. But the defense and losing all those people on defense is going to mean a lot, because looking at Sam Houston, and I mean, a lot of these teams aren't top tier, but we can just go ahead and talk to it. Sam Houston 10-7 against the Airport FIU, Louisiana Tech 9-3, 23-17, Kennesaw State in overtime. By the way, very important that they went overtime with Kennesaw State. They're a bad football program. Jack State 21-11. Jack State got the win. 20-18 against Liberty. The defense has carried this team that has been so frustrating to bet on offense. And if you aren't frustrated with Sam Houston State, it just tells me that you weren't in the trenches betting this team, because you should be very, very frustrated with how this team has been on offense. There's no way that you could get me on Sam Houston State on this line. I don't care what the line is. Give it to me with Georgia Southern and lay it.
Boggs, do you like anything with Georgia Southern? Also, they're on the money line, minus 195.
I mean, let's just lay the points. I don't really care. I'm with Terrell all the way on this one. This one, we saw Keeler go. He's going to Temple. So Brad Cornelson, the OC, is going to take over for this game. But the offense has been miserable all year, right? The defense has been the strength of Sam Houston. They've been the ones carrying them. And you mentioned all the starters. The 3 top defensive back starters, the highest in snaps and grade for Sam Houston, are leaving. They're gone. Wow. They're not playing in this game. And they're playing against Georgia Southern, who you should match up well with. You play strong defense. They don't. Your bad offense should be able to score a little bit on this defense, but they run the ball at a huge clip at Sam Houston State, and their number 1 running back is also in the portal. So, and I think their number 2 is banged up. So it's just... McKinney is injured, and the number 3 is in the portal as well. So they're down to their 4th-string running back when they run the ball more than they pass. Georgia Southern passes more than they run, and they're playing against a team whose top 3 DBs are gone. This one it seems like it's going to add up to an easy Georgia Southern victory. So we're going to lay the points and take Georgia Southern here.
The Cure Bowl kicks off in Orlando on Friday at noon. The Ohio Bobcats will face off against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. I took Ohio as 3-point favorites earlier this week. The best number I can find now on them is 3.5. Ohio did blow out Miami of Ohio 38-3 in the MAC championship to get to 10-3 straight up, 9-4 ATS. They currently have no opt-outs or major injuries, but head coach Tim Albin, he did leave to go down to Charlotte and be their head coach. That has left OC Brian Smith as the interim. And after blowing out WKU 52-12 in the Conference USA championship game and getting to 9-4 straight up, 7-6 ATS, Rich Rod has left Jacksonville State to return to WVU. This leaves Rod Smith, their offensive coordinator, battle the Smith interims here, who will also be running this team. Also opting out for Jacksonville State are 2 of the team's top tacklers, safety Zachariah Poyser and linebacker Reginald Hughes, plus their number 1 cornerback Jabari Mack. Boggs, after fading them in the MAC championship game, are you ready to get invested with Parker Navarro and company here?
This is an interesting game because it's strength on strength, right? You have the 5th best rushing defense in the nation statistically in Ohio against the number 2 rushing offense in the country in Jacksonville State. This is Rich Rod's specialty, running the ball. And both with interim head coaches as well. This is a gut feeling game for me. And I think what I've seen from every expert and everything is Ohio, look, Jacksonville State doesn't play great on defense. I think Ohio is going to be able to put up some points, and they should be able to slow this run game down. I just don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think we've seen a run game like Jacksonville State. It's just a weird gut feeling game for me. So for me, I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to stick with Jacksonville State in this game. They are a little closer to home as well. So maybe
way closer to home.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know how much of a factor that is, right? Because how many Jacksonville State? Did you see the Memphis West Virginia game last night? It was amazing. Much bigger fan bases than either one of these teams. Still, nobody was in the crowd. So it's one of those games where yes, they're closer to home, but does it matter? Is it going to mean a lot? So we'll see. I mean, to be determined. Maybe they show up better for Jacksonville State and Ohio than I give them credit for, but. I don't think so. I just think Jacksonville is going to be able to run in this game, even against a good Mac Rushdie. But if they can't, it's going to be a lopsided game in the Bobcats' favor. I don't love this one, but this is a gut feeling Jacksonville State, the way they run the ball. I just have been really impressed. And Ohio has given up some rushing yards. They're not perfect, but they gave over 100 to Buffalo. They gave over 100 to some bad offenses this year. They still keep the total low, which is why they rank so good. But, they're like middle of the road in PFF grades in terms of stopping the run. So good pass rush, but that's not going to matter against a team that runs so much like Jacksonville State. So I think Jacksonville State neutralizes that defense by being able to run. I think they control the clock, and I think it puts pressure on Ohio to actually score, and that is the bad part of their game is the offense.
Terrell, you were riding with me in that MAC championship game with the Bobcats. Are you keeping the fun rolling here down south in Orlando?
Yeah, very much so. I'm definitely keeping it going, and it's because Ohio took the measures and went ahead and said, hey, we're not just making this guy interim head coach. This is going to be our guy going forward. And they keep the program rolling. Long-term assistant turned head coach after Albin goes down there in the Charlotte 49ers. Shout out to the Queen City. So I definitely think this is a really good spot where, one, he just kind of gets that buy-in from the team and just rallies everybody together and starts, hey, we're working on stuff for next year.
Not a lot of transfers either,
building this program, working on the stuff for next year. And I think that we're going to see a little bit of more polishness coming from this Ohio team opposed to the Jack State team that I do question them, on the other side of the ball on defensively. And, yeah, they can run the ball and do all they want, but if you can't make the plays and get the stops, then I think you're really going to have trouble here struggling with this Ohio team. And if it comes down to it, Ohio by a touchdown, I could 100% see that. So I'm rolling with the Ohio Bobcats here. I think they continue to score, get it done, and they're just a little bit too much for this Jackson State team without Rich Rod.
Also on Friday is the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl between the Florida Gators and Tulane Wave.
What's
Tulane, Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Would you like a spelling on that as well, Terrell?
Please.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Can you use it in a sentence?
Yeah.
Tulane, last time we saw them, they got handled by Army in the AAC Championship, 35-14. They fell to 9-4 straight up, 9-4 ATS. Tulane starting quarterback Darian Mensah, he has opted out. He'll be transferring to Duke. That leaves Ty Thompson under center before he also transfers. Florida finished 7-5 straight up, 8-4 ATS, but they did beat LSU and Ole Miss while keeping it tight against Georgia and Tennessee. The most notable transfers for the Gators are starting tight end Arliss Boardingham and edge Jack Pyburn, who is second on the team in tackles. Terrell, I've already parlayed the minus 550 Florida money line with my favorite early Daytona 500 bet, but I'm also thinking about separating things, laying 13 points with our boy DJ Lagway, a Heisman hopeful in 2025. Would that be a wise decision to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is.
You want to take Tulane so bad.
No, I don't. I don't want to take Tulane because, I mean, well, one, Ty Thompson was a really, really highly touted recruit coming out and, ended up going to Oregon, didn't work out. Now found his way down to Tulane. And I do commend him on saying, hey, this is going to be the tryout for me. Like, I'm in the portal, but I'll still play in this game. You need a quarterback. I want a place to showcase myself. And, I mean, what better than showcase yourself against an SEC defense, regardless of who's going out there on the field. Nonetheless, I don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't think it's going to be enough. I could see this Florida team really just locking in and saying, hey, man, how do we end our season, beat the crap out of this Tulane team? And I mean, yeah, there's an angle of this. And if you told me that you just kind of wanted to, like, flirt around with Tulane money line and some money line parlays or something like that, I wouldn't even get mad at you at that, because if Tulane is in this game, I think that it's clear cut. It's because Florida doesn't care and they just mess around, let Tulane hang around, and just kind of find a way to win the game. But ultimately, I think Florida's going to take this one a little serious. And what was a dead season, Lagway put some good film on the tape, and they have a good outing here. So I'd lay it with Florida, the 12.5. Not very villainy of me, not very fun of me, but I just don't see too many paths for Tulane here.
I'm really excited to see what Florida's win total is going to be for next season, and I'll probably be taking the over if it's a good number. I really like what Billy Napier has done with this team this season, Boggs. How do you feel about them here against Tulane?
Yeah, I think the vibes, this is a vibes game, which you will not hear me say a lot. I'm way more of a numbers guy, but let's talk vibes real quick. Tulane, their last 2 games, right? What have they done? They lost a playoff spot when they lost to Memphis, and then they got murdered in the AAC title game. They gave up 335 rushing yards to Army. So I just think the vibes for them versus Florida, who saved their head coach's career. DJ Lagway didn't go to the portal. He's sticking around. He's going to be a Heisman hopeful for next season. And, you know, this is a game where you show off by beating the crap out of a Tulane team that has been weakened by the transfer portal and, you know, are just kind of down on themselves, and you reel in some of those transfers. You know, you have some of those wide receivers that have yet to transfer because they don't have to, because they're playing in the tournament or they're playing a late bowl game or whatever, that haven't announced that they're going into the portal. Maybe they see DJ Lagway and they go, man, I think I'd like to play with that guy. So I think that this is a game where you can try to reel in some recruits. I think you keep your foot on the gas if you're Florida on how you're ending the season, and give yourself a lot of momentum going into next year by laying the wood to Tulane, and I think that's what's going to happen here. So Terrell's right, it's boring, but Darian Mensah would have made this a really close game.
Yeah. No, man.
Without Darian Mensah, this is not a very close game. This is Florida in a walk.
Okay. We will be having a show coming out next week before Christmas, but it'll be after 2 more bowl games are played on Monday, starting with the Myrtle Beach Bowl kicking off at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's somehow a home game for Coastal. I don't know who let this happen, but they will be playing on the surf turf after finishing towards the bottom of the Sun Belt, 6-6 straight up, 5-7 ATS. However, they have also been ravaged by the portal. Their top 2 quarterbacks, Ethan Vasco and Noah Kim, are gone. Their starting tight end, right guard, 2 defensive linemen, a linebacker, and a cornerback also gone. Quarterback Tad Hudson, he's a native of Huntersville, North Carolina. He'll be making his collegiate debut in this game. UTSA finished in the middle of the AAC at 6-6 straight up, 6-6 ATS as well. They do have wins over North Texas and Memphis, which are pretty good. They played Army tight, which was good to see. They did play some top-level competition, getting blown out by Texas. They will also have some opt-outs, including defensive lineman Ronald Triplett, who's second on the team in sacks, plus their QB2, RB3, RB5, tight end 3. But still not as many impactful players out as Coastal. Boggs, how do you see this one playing out by the beach?
Yeah, I mean, yikes. So many transfers on the 2 deep for Coastal.
Yeah.
It's just not good. We're going down to Tad Hudson, as you mentioned, who is, a guy that has not thrown a collegiate pass yet. So he was a North Carolina commit. So we went to a big school. And I did go to 247 and I watched a couple of his highlights. He's enormous. He looks like Ben Roethlisberger. Like 6'3", big arm.
Yeah.
Every play that I saw was him throwing it deep down the seam. Like, he's got an arm. Doesn't look very mobile, though. So, I mean, a kid. Maybe he is more mobile than we give him credit for. But it's all going to come down to him. And I think, if you're Coastal, what do you want to do with a quarterback that's never thrown a pass in a game? You want to run the ball a lot. Well, UTSA, 18th in the nation against the run. So they are 18th in the nation against the run. They're a strong run defense, 30th graded on PFF. And then if they do get up on Coastal, they have a very good pass rush as well. They're 11th in pass rush grade. So give me the Roadrunners to run away with this one. This one just, there's too many missing pieces specifically on offense for Coastal, even in a home game. I just think UTSA, as you alluded to also, Seth, played hard to make this bowl game down the stretch. They had to beat Memphis. They did it. They had to beat North Texas. They did it. They blew out Temple. They gave Army a run for their money, right? I think this team were, speaking to vibes and momentum, I think UTSA has way more momentum than a team that just had a bunch of players drop into the portal and leave them kind of hanging here.
Terrell, I'm also liking the Roadrunners, but do you like Coastal in the rare bowl home game?
I mean, here's the thing that also makes this even worse is because UTSA was horrible on the road. I mean, horrible on the road this year. They lost a road game to Tulsa. They lost.
They were bad
Tulsa.
at the beginning of the season. They were really figuring things out.
Oh, I don't know, man. This is around Halloween. They lost to Tulsa on the road. Like, I don't know, man. That's really like that was the game that I circled, and I'm like, all right, I can forgive a lot of things
if you want.
I don't think that you have to bet this one. I probably won't bet this one, but if I did, like even with everything you're saying, and I understand the team doesn't have a quarterback that is throwing a collegiate pass and all that, I still think they're better than Tulsa. With everything gone, I think they're probably still better than Tulsa. Tulsa's like one of the bottom teams in FBS right now, and they lost on the road to them as 10-point favorites. I don't think I want to lay this number. Yeah, maybe UTSA comes out of here with a win, and yeah, maybe it's not close. But if you tell me that Hudson comes out here in garbage time and throws some deep bombs and makes this a 7-point game, 6-point game, something like that, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm going to take the dog because the line is so massive at this point, but yeah, I just can't get myself to lay 10 with UTSA at all.
This is one where UTSA is up by 13 going into the fourth quarter, and you're
sweating bullets.
Don't give me that bad juju, Boggs. Don't give me that.
I mean, it's just one that it could also be 35-10 going into the fourth quarter. Who knows? But this is one of those that if it's like a 2-touchdown game going in the fourth, you're going to be like, come on, man. Just give me a pick six. Give me a score, a long-winded clock-eating scoring drive by the Roadrunners at the end. So, but I do think they come away with this win. I just think they've been playing better. I think going into this season, and I even heard Traylor talk about it when they were playing Texas. He was like, "This is our least experienced team. This is their most experienced team." So we've never been good here against. He was kind of lamenting the loss before it happened, and they got smoked. I think they were figuring out a lot of stuff earlier in the season. I think this push to make a bowl game has kind of spurned them.
Sure, agreed.
So I do like UTSA more than Terrell does, but I understand these games are tough with all of these transfers in and transfers out, and who's going to play quarterback and who hasn't had a snap, and all these guys, but they still have real home field advantage. It's a crazy bowl game.
Yeah. We will go ahead and we'll round out the program in Boise, Idaho for the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, kicking off at 2:30 on Monday afternoon. Northern Illinois, who can forget what they did earlier this season? They are now favored by 2.5 over Fresno State. Upsetting Notre Dame in week 2 was a great feel-good story. They were ranked inside the top 25 after that game as well. However, the rest of the season was not much to write home about at all. They finished 7-5 in the middle of the MAC, 4-6-2 ATS. NIU will be without their starting quarterback, Ethan Hampton, their leading wide receiver, Trayvon Rudolph, and starting defensive tackle, Skylar Gill-Howard, who is third on the team in sacks. It was a pretty quiet season, honestly, for Fresno State, finishing 4th in the Mountain West Conference, 6-6 straight up, 6-5-1 ATS. They'll be without starting quarterback Mikey Keene and their second and third wide receivers, plus their starting defensive tackle Graviel Lightfoot and cornerback Azillian Hamilton are also in the portal. A lot of opt-outs all over the place. Terrell, do you have a side in this game? It feels a little stuck in the mud for this one as well. I don't think I'll be invested here on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I really want to sit here and say let's just take Fresno in the conference game. And yeah, they let the news of NIU joining the Mountain West come out, and now Fresno puts a little beating on NIU. Welcome to the conference, all of that. I would love to sit here and see that happen. And ultimately, I think it can. I think Fresno does have the defense that can really go and rattle the backup quarterback here in Rudolph. No, not Rudolph. In Holst, the backup quarterback in Holst, who played a game this season, played against Toledo, and
Had a
was
bunch
pretty,
of passes.
Yeah. Yeah, a whole bunch. Not all of them were completed. Not a lot of them were.
Not a lot of them were. Yeah.
He threw the ball a lot, so he understands what he's supposed to do. It just may not do it to the best effect. And unfortunately, I would have loved Fresno here if they had their quarterback, but they have a backup, and that kind of makes me a little bit frustrated too. But nonetheless, I don't want to get cute here. I'm gonna trust the angle. Give me Fresno State. I think Fresno State gets this done. It feels like a lot of people are betting NIU, and I understand it. But both of these two teams have offensive woes now thanks to the transfer portal, and I'm gonna just take the points.
Okay, Boggs, how do you feel about it, and how do you feel about NIU leaving the MAC? Because it just feels like a weird fit for them to be going out to the MW.
Hey, listen, the Stanford is in the Atlantic Coastal Conference.
Okay, true.
And
true,
so is Cal.
True.
So,
very true.
The conferences are conferences. Go get your money is what I say to NIU. If you're going to make more money in the Mountain West, go do it. I hate this game. This is a pretty firm stay away from me. But, I mean, let's do the obvious one, right? We have backup quarterbacks playing. We have a lot of travel. We have a lot of opt-outs specifically on offense on both these teams. So let's just take the under. I think the under is the best play here. It's a low total at 40.5. I don't care who's scoring. Like NIU, yes, they lose their best defensive player in Skylar Gill-Howard. They're still a very good defense. So I would probably take NIU here and lay the points, but the under is my favorite play in this one. I don't want to pick a side because I hate both these teams right now, missing a bunch of starters on offense. So give me NIU. Sorry I bored you, Terrell.
Yeah, both of these offenses are extremely slow. Last game for Fresno State, 20-13 against UCLA. So I understand why this total is so boring and this game is so boring.
No better way to start your Christmas week, boys, than turning on this one. Maybe a nice nap by halftime and potentially waking up to a cash bet on the under, as Bogman alluded to. Guys, thank you so much for your time here today. Thank you, everyone, for watching as well. That's going to do it for us on the Betting Pros College Football Show. We will be back next week with another episode before your Christmas holiday. Until then, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Plus, download the BP app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Terrell Furman Jr. and Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.